to whatever we had then, where the rain started beating us, right? And that Heroes Day was celebrated before then. It became Kenyatta Day in 1963, when now Kenyatta becomes the president, and now by law, the Constitution recognized 20th of October as Kenyatta Day for the first time. So Kenyatta Day was celebrated from 1963 to 2010. Then 2010 we reverted to Mashujaa Day, the Heroes Day, to now bring in all the heroes and recognize all the heroes who participated, not just Kenyatta, who was seen to be the leader of the revolution. David, okay, you wanted to add something?
Let me just add in something important which I've noted from Arnold and Oscar's discussion. Arnold has been, his clarion call has been Article 43 and how the socio-economic rights are supposed to be exercised in this republic, and to start with health. And you compound that with what Oscar said. Just yesterday I was having a very interesting discussion with some of my students, and interestingly I teach labor law. What Oscar said is the aspect of there are some sectors which are not supposed to be unionized, or which are not supposed to go on strike. And the fact that he has mentioned that health, and you compound that with what Arnold is talking about, the Constitution, then there is a missing gap. The missing gap is what he said, that we need to have our health sector to be taken well, to be taken care of very well, that they can also be removed from the list of people who can be able to strike. Because when you bring in the aspect of somebody who is in critical care, and then the doctors are on strike, the nurses are on strike, that person is literally dead. How do we ascertain, or how do we arrive at what Article 43 anticipates, that the highest attainable, this person's right to life has already been taken away by this action? So it's very important that we be able to look at things from that perspective, and even be able to ensure that the welfare of doctors is something we take to heart and deal with at the highest level, so that we can move them from the cluster of people who are allowed to exercise or enjoy their labor laws fully, but limit them to the level that we ensure that their welfare. You see, the police cannot be able to strike. The prison officers cannot be able to strike. They are off the list of people and the KDF, they can also not strike. So if you can have the doctors and the nurses not being able to go on strike, but they are allowed to agitate for their right to welfare in a certain manner, like the soldiers do, and the police and the prison warden, then we will have actually satisfied the anticipation which is given in the Constitution in attaining highest attainable levels of health care. Because otherwise we'll be speaking from both sides of the mouth. We have our Labor Act, which does not have the health professionals in that list of people who cannot strike, but we have a Constitution which speaks boldly that, and the number one issue is health, attainment of health at the highest level in terms of achieving socio-economic development. Then how do we marry these two? Because the anticipation of the Constitution is big, but the Labor Act and does not seem to pick the same spirit and implement the same. So I think in terms of policy development, that's something we ought to look at, that we can be able to have to exercise fully the right under Article 43.
Indeed, and David, still basing your argument on the framework that my colleagues here have also mentioned in regards to the laws. You know, looking at the universal health care, the trial or the pilot program that was in around 4 counties or 5 counties, 4 counties, it didn't quite work, because if it worked, we could have built on that. But the president had a sit down and also came up with the 4 laws that he assented to yesterday: the Facilities Improvement Financing Act, Digital Health Act, Primary Health Care Act, and the Social Health Insurance Fund, which will definitely replace the NHIF. How do we ensure that we do not fall into the same pitfalls that we fell with the universal health coverage in 4 counties?
Ndiye ndiye huyo kwenye hilo gari lake. Linaitwa nini? Ni Kwambua.
Naam, bila shaka mtazamaji, msafara wake Rais William Ruto ambao umewasili katika uwanja huu wa Kericho Stadium muda mchache tu baada ya mkewe ama mama wa taifa kuingia uwanjani, mtazamaji. Na kwa sasa kama alivyofanya Rais William Ruto, kama ilivyo ada, kama ilivyo kawaida, ni kwamba atazunguka uwanja huu akisalimia halaiki ya watu ambao wamefika na wageni wote, kuwapa salamu zake, mtazamaji, ikiwa sherehe yake ya pili ya Mashujaa Olive.
Ndio ni Kwambua, na leo tuliposema awali he's launching, let me just launch back to my English, but this universal health coverage, Afya Nyumbani, that is the theme of this year's Mashujaa Day. I believe at this point, Nick, the viewer would like to listen in for themselves and get a sense of what is happening this Mashujaa Day for themselves outside of all the commentary.
Bila shaka, kabla tuleke huko na tupate sauti za moja kwa moja, ni kwamba Rais baada ya kumaliza msafara huo kama anavyofanya kwenye uwanja huu, ni kwamba atakuwa anaingia uwanjani na kisha akiongozwa na wakuu wa majeshi ambao wanaongoza jeshi la Kenya, atakuwa anakagua gwaride kama amri jeshi mkuu, na bila shaka baada hapo basi atakuwa anarudi pale kuketi. Tutakuwa na burudani kidogo ambao leo haitakuwa nyingi sana kwa sababu ya hali ya anga, tuko katika msimu wa mvua. Hivyo basi itakuwa tunaanza kwa hotuba kutolewa, kisha rais atakuwa anafunga na hotuba yake, ambapo tumearifiwa kwamba hafla hii huenda haitapita mwendo wa saa 7. Ni hafla ambayo itaisha mapema ikilinganishwa na hafla zingine. Vilevile huenda kwamba ile hotuba yake rais siwe ndefu sana, huenda ikawa ni fupi, ambayo itakuwa inagusia mambo muhimu, mambo ya kitaifa, hasa swala hili la afya ambalo analipigia upatu sana. Hivyo basi mtazamaji, tuko hapa kufahamisha na tuone kidogo tu rais akipiga raundi ya mwisho kufika pale mahali ambapo atakuwa anaelekea kwenye jukwaa lake.